we're here
It's
today to give some honor, and it took a little bit of while to get to this episode. And honestly, I've been thinking about it since the sister passed, man. Assata Shakur passed away, one of our honorable revolutionary sisters, and it hurts, being a youth and reading her books, and just learning about the Panthers and learning about the Young Lords and all these revolutionaries, man. And I feel like a lot of them have, now passed on, and it's like I feel like they're not getting the proper recognition, the proper respect, honor. I know a few people have mentioned it. I saw a lot. I saw the news circulating a lot, but I think it could be greater. And we need to like hold on and appreciate and honor our revolutionary elders that have passed on, and appreciate them while they're here. You know what I'm saying? So, how did y'all feel hearing the news?
Now I could go first. Wanted to say,
Yeah.
rise in power to Auntie Asada, Olugbala Shakur. The name Asada means she who struggles. Olugbala for the people, and Shakur is one of the 99 attributes of Allah, meaning the most thankful. Um, man, to be honest, when I first saw the news, it was some social media stuff, man, and my first reaction when I see a death announcement on social media, if it's not the family saying it, you know what I mean, or in this case, I was waiting for the Cuban government itself, right? But I noticed folks are so quick to be up, to post it, man, and sometimes even that alone kind of threw me a little bit, you know what I mean? Because then I got to make a phone call and tap into the forces and see what's what, and man, so then actually getting the confirmation, I believe it was like the next day, where it was confirmed that she had passed, and transition. And to me, it's those stages, of understanding that we go through processing, you know what I mean? But one of the things I think that I've ended up with is the beauty of, one of the rallying cries that we've had while she's been in exile for over 40 years is hands off Asada,
Hmm.
right? For the U.S.
Hmm.
imperialists, period, hands off Asada, no extradition. Even when Obama made her the number one first female to be the most wanted FBI
Hmm.
terrorist, you know what I'm saying, in
Hmm.
2013, and made her the bounty on her head from $1 million to $2 million back then. It was
Hmm.
still hands off Asada. That's what we said, and it just hit me one day like, man, they never did touch her, they never,
Hmm.
so thanks to the Cuban people, man, the Cuban government, you know what I'm saying, really, that they never did, and they wanted to, you know what I mean, and so the fact that she was able to transition in some senses free is actually a
Yeah.
very beautiful thing, and it really kind of completes her arc as a true revolutionary.
Yeah. Well said. I agree with
right.
you on that. It
Yeah.
hurts,
I
man. It
I
hurts.
yeah. For me, I feel kind of the same way. Um, I read her book when I probably was like 13, 14 years old. It was very inspiring. Yep, 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 yep. Grew up with it in my home. A bunch of books, Soul on Ice, whole bunch of books, reading on revolutionaries. But the thing about her being free is kind of like I'm in between because she couldn't raise her daughter the proper way. You know what I'm saying? And like from being exiled for all those years. And then, like you said, Obama, Bush, every time a president would get in office, she was the number one, like
Word.
the head of order on their agenda. And I just think it was so foul, just let the sister like live, you know what I'm saying?
Real
Hmm.
talk.
Let her do her, that's how I felt the whole entire time. But you know, rest in power to her. Um, May Allah have mercy on her soul.
I
And
mean,
Hmm.
whatever they feel she did or didn't do, that's with the law. You know what I'm saying?
word.
That, that's it.
As far as for me, I mean, I don't want to say like we're rejoiceful, but I respected the fact that she was an elder and transitioned. You know what I'm saying? I respected that she lived a full life. For those that don't know, like my job, I work with prison reform. I work with a lot of former Black Panthers, Herman Bell. Hakeem is one of my peoples. Sundiata Kohli that just came home
Yeah.
not too long ago. So when I speak to
Those
even
directly
my
in
boss,
relation to her.
are exactly.
right, right, right. So this
Well,
is the
Exactly.
yeah.
thing. And sometimes like my boss Sophia, she keeps a she might I'm pretty sure she met us out a few times because she would go to Cuba a bunch of times. And when the she has like a contingent, like the Cuban government kind of would come over here and they would meet with us. We'd have to go to work and kind of like talk to these people about like politics and things like that. But they were all like they weren't really sad. I spoke to Sophia, I spoke to Hakeem, Herman Bell, we call him Hakeem, and they were more like I'm not sure the right word. They were more like in reverence that she was an elder and kind of
That's a good
transitioned the
word.
correct right
Yeah.
way.
That
And
reverence, I
they
think, is a good word, man. You know what I mean? Because it's
yeah, the reverence is the word I'm looking for.
because she
So
became
it
an
wasn't
ancestor. You know, like
right, 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 and
it,
and and I respect that, and I agree with a lot of that. And to be around like my job, like when I'm around my coworkers, these are people that like that whole field of prison reform and type revolutionary work. Herman Bell is someone that did 40 something years. You know what
or
I'm
the New
saying?
York
So
Breed. Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I just soak up game and just be like quiet, do my job, and just learn. It took a while to kind of be like myself, quote unquote. You know what I'm saying? But I love all those people. But they were anytime we would meet with like I can't. It's like a certain group of Cuban people. Like I don't want to say like there might have been a politician. There's definitely one I've met, but they're like political activists in Cuba, and they would always kind of just really have real reverence for Assata. Always bring that up, and so I'm just assuming that it wasn't in vain. You know what I'm saying? Neither her death nor her life. And what was crazy to me, the day that I found out the news, right, was the day I seen the Leonardo DiCaprio movie and Tiana Taylor, I think, and
Yeah.
they're playing revolutionaries in that movie, yo, and it
Mhm.
was crazy. Certain parallels and examples, and Jules in that movie. That's a real good movie. But I just thought
Mhm.
that was real interesting that came out that particular day at the same time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If I could add on
Right.
with that, it actually, for 1 minute too, I had to really, a lot of us as well had to question, like, okay, was it a natural death, or like, you know what I mean? Did
Right.
they in fact take
Right.
her out? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? Given
Right.
all
Right.
the
Right.
politics of the climate right now and everything, you know what I mean? But then when the Cuban government said it, from age, then that's health conditions and things.
Natural causes.
That was
Yeah.
relief. Yeah, the natural
Right.
causes
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
was a relief because honestly, that went through our heads too. It's like how much they would go through. I mean, even Fidel Castro, I think there was it was like recorded as like literally hundreds of CIA attempts on his life. You know what I mean? Documented.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so
Right. Yeah.
yeah. And the other thing is like a little bit of regret too because in early 2000s, I was part of this group that was doing some work around the learning about the Cuba health system out there, and a contingent of folks from the Bay Area went out and went there. And I've had several comrades over the years that have gone to Cuba, have met with her. You know what I mean? And you know, never got. I thought I almost had the chance to one opportunity, man, but like we said, she's an ancestor now.
Yep.
Right.
It takes me it makes me think of, in our youth going to the Universal meetings in Harlem and having Panther Shep in the back before he rose up in the Zulu Nation to be a Zulu king or or a leader. He would just be in the back on the quiet tip with his table set up with all the pins, all power to the people pins, hands off Asada free 'em all pins, and just pins of all the
Hmm.
revolutionaries, Huey P. Newton. And we, all the Zulus, we used to buy these pins and sometimes put them on our jackets and wear them with our medallions. And just hearing him say, what's the call, free 'em all, we just kind of grew up in that atmosphere, learning about these revolutionaries in the Zulu Nation, and we still teach it today in the Zulu Union. And I think it's important that all organizations continue to keep these revolutionaries honored and keep their name alive and their work. You know, some people have been freed, and some people are getting old, and a lot of them made the ultimate sacrifice, and whether they gave their life or many years to the prison, fighting for what they believe in and fighting for freedom. And I think they should be honored and respected for generations to come. I just wanted to thank all those that are in the struggle, striving to put in the work to free our people and push our people forward. It's important that we honor them and respect their work, because a lot of people aren't willing to sacrifice their life,
Man,
their freedom, their time to do the work for the people,
yeah,
and these people have given theirs tenfold. You
yes,
know what I
sir.
mean?
That's well
Or,
said.
When I, my bad.
yeah.
When I sit
No, go ahead.
around, whenever, because a lot of my work be with the youth, and I don't necessarily see the other, like my other coworkers in other departments. And then when there's functions and Suniyata Kolia show up, and Hakeem Herman Bell. Just looking at the two of them, like one is more like he's like Sunyata is kind of taken in the world at a real old age. So it's not interesting, but it's noteworthy to see how he adapts. They'll put him in front of the whole crowd. He'll speak to the whole room until he kind of gets a little tired, and then he'll chill out. He's very like alert. He'll talk to you, and but it's crazy. He's real old, so it's very interesting to see him still sharp. Where Hakeem is also real old, but he's like super vibrant. He's like without the prison sentence, I would want to be like him as an old man. He just lives his life. He's always smiling and joking. He has a bunch of people that support him. But the both of them, it's very interesting and an honor to be around them because they could not be here at any moment. You know what I mean? These are real ugly people. So it's always
That's real.
respect to see. Yeah, man. It's always definitely. I might have to call Hakeem soon. Thinking about him, you know.
Yeah, his son actually lives out here in the Bay and does a lot of good work,
Or,
man.
or he dude, he go. You
Kamel, brother,
right?
speak to
Right,
Kamel.
right, right.
Do a
I
lot of good
met
work.
him.
But yeah, to your point though, El, earlier, in terms of what's been happening with the dynamic of our political prisoners being given these quote unquote compassionate releases, you know what I'm saying? Which oftentimes it's literally when they're on their deathbed. You know what I mean? We've seen that happen
Right.
in several different cases, from Rochelle McGee to even Dr. Matulu Shakur. Um,
Mhm.
he came and they unleashed him. He actually was supposed to be. He served his full sentence, and he was out. He was supposed to be out in 2018, according to the years he was given, and they dragged out the process. And then, by the time he was unleashed, he ended up, transitioning a few months later. You know what I'm saying? And man, it's a trip how often that happens. Another
Right.
case, literally the last thing that Joe Biden ever did, which is kind of a trip, is to um, let Leonard Peltier serve the rest of his sentence at home. It wasn't he didn't pardon him, you know what I mean, but he basically commuted his sentence. You know what I'm saying? So Leonard has been home on the res, you know what I mean, out there
I
in
wasn't even aware of that.
Dakota
Wow.
land, yeah, for about a year now. You know,
Wow.
not even a year. It's been just some months.
Wow.
That's a huge one.
Yes,
We
yes,
think
indeed.
about current political prisoners. The two names that the campaigns that I've been continually involved in for decades now is Mumia Abu Jamal, obviously,
Hmm.
and Mumia is constantly going through hell in there. They fought to get him off death row over a decade ago, but once that happened, it's not like it stopped for him. Then he started going through what we've been calling execution by medical neglect. You know what I
Right.
mean?
He's having some health issues. I've
A
recently
lot.
heard.
Yeah, it's because and they
Yeah.
deny him from basic
Right.
things that he needs, and it takes
Hmm.
us. We have to do campaigns when we get the people to call the Bureau of Prisons and run their numbers up, email them, like blow them up in order for them to address it. Similar thing happened to Imam Jamil Al-Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown.
Hmm.
Who was a super dynamic revolutionary Muslim leader. And he was targeted. You know what I'm saying? And he continually goes through the same thing with these brothers in their 70s and 80s and going through extreme medical conditions because of the conditions of these concentration camps, so-called prisons. You know what I mean? And yeah,
Hmm.
man, that's why the call of free them all is a clarion call. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
yeah,
Oh, man. Yeah, rest in peace to Asada Shakur. Thank you for tuning in to Spears and Mics. I'm L1. We got our host Just P here and Watt Slice and the brother Ross Ceylon.